I do the sympathy for her. Cause she gave me one, everything she do give me one, you know. To talk with her people. Okay, man. Good morning, my people. How are you? During the week, Eyo Kuchatu. This is the third week of January 2025. Today is the 20th of January 2025. I hope you guys are doing well. And you guys, have you figured that election season starts in 2025? They are going to nominate presidential candidates in the last quarter of 2025. And you'll be surprised. We have another candidate, Nerinya Sirijuki. The guy looks like Lubega. You remember the guy Lubega? Just a little of my life, a little bit of my life, a little bit of all I need. You know that guy? So there's a dude, Agena Kwesi Mbawo, who president. He's actually the president of a political party. Why don't I remember his name? I made sure I have it in my head. And then, of course, Muhammad Nsereko is also coming. And then, of course, Bobby Wine. And then, of course, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. They are all candidates. Okay, we are projecting that they are candidates. We don't have any Katumba Oyara Katagenda Komao. And then I don't know if Messi is coming back, if they don't keep him in prison all through. You get, they could just do that. And then probably like always, like it always is, we should also expect someone that is really non-productive but going to be there just to umaza. They might also get a woman to distract the women. You know how politics is. And yesterday I was watching a movie. It's called Seven Kings Must Die. I'm still watching it. You know me, I can watch a movie for like 4 days. I'm still watching the movie. And when you watch these medieval stories from Britain and England, and then if you watch like those European medieval stories like Valhalla, when you watch like Game of Thrones, you realize that these guys are playing with us. You get a guy would just wake up with a dream in the morning and say narose yeah, network is back. Sorry, I'm actually thinking the things that like the banning of Facebook in Uganda. A lot of things come because someone dreamt in the night, and I find that it's idiotic that we let people govern us like this. And in the movie Seven Kings Must Die, I've not yet finished it. I'm still finding out if Seven Kings have actually died. But the politics is totally like what happens here. And the one thing I learned, that was concretized in that when I was watching the movie, is like if someone attacks the people that are close to you, they're actually attacking you. They just don't want to attack you directly because they know if they attack you directly, they might get trouble, they might get problems. So they decide to attack the people close to you. Like, you know how the Brits used to attack the territories they wanted to take over. They would never attack the palace itself, but they'll go around killing people, burning villages. And there's something similar to that is happening in Uganda, right? They kill people, they burn villages, they burn places to the ground to make this person give up. Like, come on, declare me the king, and you'll have peace, and your people will have peace. Yeah, so I like watching medieval stories. Not, of course, Uganda, as we as storytellers from Uganda still have a long way to go. We need to tell the stories of our kings and the kingdoms, and of course the kingdoms are also were abolished or they just disappeared. We also need to tell those stories because our kids and grandkids and great grandkids need to know about this. Like I find that the European kids, they learn about their history, they learn about the Vikings, they learn about their kings and queens, they learn about their bastard kings, they learn about the idiots that used to rule them and all that. And for us as storytellers, but now Uganda and Africans in general, but of course Nigerians are doing something. The South Africans did the same. But I find that we as Ugandans are not doing a good job telling the stories. Yeah, that's why I want to live long enough. These stories must be told. But how are you, my people? They don't get how to know the right car for you. I know deep down everyone thinks they know the right car for them, yeah? But maybe we don't. Maybe just us sharing information here might. Double tap, guys. Double tap the screen. Jones E from Yombia Mark, Brigitte Kakai, JFK Ads, George Senkubuge, Dr. W. Joshua, Tumihimisa Ivan, Chisembo Jose, George Bob, Basic Chris, Gilbert Amanya, Stephen Omuria, Otiang Rajab. Normally, when I find a name like Otiang, it comes with the name with Joseph. Otiang Joseph, Otiang Joab, Otiang Derek. It's new to find it with a Muslim name. But how are you? Otiang Rajab. Travel Life Vlog, Mugalasi Joshua Mixed Farm, Chamba de Hannington, Martha Academy. Martha Academy na mukono nonyako botanonya. Gwamanye chiri kutukako. Nonyako. Zebidako ngenda big gamba. George Senkubuge agambye a blissful morning. A blissful morning to you too, Gilbert Amanya. Arthur, how come you never eventually uploaded your music to YouTube or Spotify? I don't think I just got around to that. I don't know why. I just did not get around to that. I think I should. I think I just gave up on it, and yeah. When I let things go, I let them go totally. Yeah. Of course I love my songs, but I think I let that part of my life like rest. Billy Crown, good morning. Mark Suna, Wasuzotia, Saith Kagaba, Henry Modern Juice, Ben Kako, SPK Driving School VIP, Abdu Semata, how are you? Isuzu Trooper Big Horn, don't buy. Just don't, unless if you're buying it like 2.5 or 3 million, because even if you take it to scraps, but if you're buying it like a normal car, don't buy, because the Isuzu Big Horn over Trooper, it's not a normal car. It will disturb you. I am telling you. I once saw someone sell it at 2 million shillings. It had all new tires. The interior was perfect. 2 million. And even with the 2 million, they were struggling to get someone to buy it. So don't. There are cars that just have what they are cast. So just don't even think about it. What's the procedure for paying KCC operation license for commercial vehicles? Says I have no idea. I've not done that before. There are things that I've left for other people to do normally. But I'm sure like the KCCA website spells that out. I've normally let people do that. I think specialization is something that I've tried in certain aspects. I think I already have. But I'm going to ask for you, Saith. I'm going to inbox you. I'm going to inbox you on WhatsApp. Emma Cafero, Nemasa, Emma Nemasa Barabiseko. How are you? How are you, the pioneer couple for the love of cars? How are you? Chairman Zach, how are you? Matovu Idris, how are you? This time you talked about the VITS engine that we should buy. What engine was that? You can buy the 1KR. You can also buy the 2NZ if it's a 1.3, or you can buy the 1NZ if it's a 1.5. Don't buy the. You can even buy the 1SZ. It's also not bad. But if you can get a VITS only with the 1KR, tebasobola kugoba matha gwe sengo manyi Emma bwe yakogga gwe nonyako nze nyina lugambo yiyo. Guys, we have been talking about the big horn. There it is, kanji gobe yiyo big horn kyo kirabika ki SUV kiri awo kikanga naye muganda wange kati olabe big horn tugiraba oyinza oberi mu engine ya Nuwa obe ya Mark 2. But of course engeri gyeri Nsambya kati otalina bwatambula. You'll find that this person works in town, lives in Zambia. On average, I've got kilometer 10 or there is no way they are going to. And of course, those cars normally it's because the mechanics just don't understand them. But it looks okay. I would not invest my money there. Even the 2 million and the scenes at this zokugula bigoni mbanyina jigula kakadde ngate mipira gyonna egiriko mipya nga nkimanyi ku mipira egyo nzija yenkaaga bwe masa z'okutunda mipira rim nzija ya 3 nemanya katabwe mala nenkiteke wakaba aba ne bazanyira omu. But the big horn is not a worthy investment, I'm telling you. It looks like it's a respectable SUV, but no. There is a reason why they still sell Prado ETX and I think the SXs at more than 20 million shillings on all number plates. And that one, yes, kati ajina bogendo mugamba nkwesenta jja kugamba million 8. But trust me, go jja kunonya kuwesa tunga tomulaba. So guys, we are talking about the right car for you today. Which car I can buy using diesel? You want a car that uses diesel? You can buy. There are so many Prados that use diesel. You can get Prados. You can get, like, I've even seen an Auris with diesel engine. I've even seen a Vitz with the diesel engine. It depends on what you want, but most of the vans are diesel. So if you want a van, you can get a Regias, Alphard, another diesel, but you can get a Regias, you can get a Hiace, either a Super Custom or a Chigege. I've even seen a RAV4 with a diesel engine. I've even seen a Nuwa with a diesel engine. Excuse me. Yeah, but it depends on what you want. You can buy a Hilux. You can buy the L200. I think of all Nissan vehicles, they created the Nissan hardbody. That's like the #1 most reliable diesel car from Nissan. Yeah, you can buy yourself a hardbody, or you can buy a Isuzu D-Max. That's also a good one. Like if you're buying pickups, most of the companies make good pickups. Yeah. But if you're buying SUVs, There is a reason why the Land Cruisers are still very popular. Guys, double tap the screen so that we get enough likes. Double tap, double tap. Yendaga watekukuba waliyo jam. Bola baba no bonna baddukayo. Ngeri ekyo tekyenziza eri mu wakibuye kuba nayo wafuwaze. So anyway, guys, we are talking how we should, how we could, how we must, how we can find out what the right car for us is. Now, normally when we wake up in the morning and we have money to buy a car, we think, I know the right car for me. Majority of the time we need guidance, or we need to talk to people so that they help us figure it out. It's like building a house. The people that are building houses think they know what they need until they don't. I find that for someone to actually know the house they want, they have to build their first house, figure out how houses work, then build a second house. That's why most of the guys, if they have built a house for like their mother or their parents first, when they finally build a house for themselves, then they do it very well. But if they don't need a very big house, now they will not build a very big house. Which take it, if they don't need a very small house, now they will build a good big house. I went to buy a car from someone and I was paying cash. She started crying for the car and ended up changing her mind. I didn't know that people have so much attachment to cars like that. Yeah, Joe, people have attachment to their cars. Ngemoroke mubereddewo okitegeera ngemoroke mubereddewo kati akubamu akafaananyi for them to sell you the car and they don't know how they are going to replace it. Like some cars are just too good for you. Like if you found someone that has been driving a RAV4, people that have RAV4, some of them have driven their RAV4s for 10 years, 15 years, and they're attached to them because that car has nothing on them. Guys, I'm going to tell you something for the people that are buying new cars or that are buying cars. I'm going to tell you something later related to tires. Just remind me before I say bye-bye. Some people are attached to their car's job. But also, it's possible that the money you are giving them was good money, but maybe the money they have invested in that car, you don't even cover half of it. So they just say, let me keep my car. That's one of the reasons I kept my Corolla. Like everybody thought I was keeping the Corolla because Nanyiga. I just discovered I can manage without selling the Corolla. I think I send the more part. So I managed, and my bro Yevuga, I take at I sent agenda gula moroka ampe Corolla yange. Orundo kenji koleko emikolo jonna jagara. But I gave him a beginning. He knows that now actually he can manage to have a car. That's why I have moto. Guys, double tap the screen so that we get likes. And then of course we end up behind the Tiguan. Nakate Ogambotia. Ford pickup. Guys, I don't know. Yes, Fords look nice, but Fords are not cars for you to buy. Fords are for rich people. Mazda CX-5 diesel is good. I would not buy a diesel car from a company that Ugandan mechanics don't know very well. You're going to waste money. Same Mr. Arthur, is it worth using a Nua as a taxi vehicle? No, it's not. Buy a Chigege. Guys, for anyone that wants to buy, unless you don't have money, but even when you don't have money, the money that buys a Nua, just buy Ipsam or Sokoji take a Kubala. When Ipsam takes the same number of people as the Nua. So buy the Ipsam, it will definitely be cheaper. Put it on the road, then collect money, then use the money you have made out of the Ipsam to buy a Chigege. I don't know if I make sense. I know I do. With 15 million, should I buy a car first or land? Because I need both. It depends. Guys, the one thing me I've learned is that land doesn't bring back money immediately. In actual sense, it doesn't even bring back money. But a car can bring back money. But if you're going to buy a car to leave it in the parking lot during day and night, then don't buy a car. Also, if you live near your workplace, you don't need a car. You get, So, but if you like me, in the way in the Arthur, not having a car would be crippling me and my family. We move. We move at a now. My kids need to go to school. And they're used going to school with their dad. I remember when my kids were at were their grandmothers. They were there for one day, and then Ragnar started saying, I want to go see my dad. Tell daddy to come for us. Tell daddy to come for us. It happened a lot. It happened a lot. And so I don't want Katinzengaze, I need a car. But if you don't have a family, you live near your workplace, some of you guys, you live in the same buildings you work at, you don't need a car. You'd be wasting money. You can take Ubers whenever you need to like ride in a car. But anyway, speaking of that, at that point where JFK Arts has asked, let's start our topic at 22 minutes. So many times I have discussions with people when they tell me that they want to buy a car and they have they think they have figured out which car they want or they need to buy. So normally and apart, let's talk about two things. One wants a certain type of car, or they are in love with a certain type of car, but they actually need a certain type of car. Like there are people that are me. I used to be in love with Mercedes Benz. Of course, in charge Benz but it's important for us to always discover what we need as a people, as a person. What do you need? Sometimes people are in love with cars. Like, I'll give you an example. Someone borrowing a car, getting a car on credit, and then they get the IST at 35 million shillings on credit. 35. Yes, you really want that car, but the question is, do you need that car? Do you need to get that loan? That's the thing that has been happening with me and my debate for the hybrid. Like, I was asking myself, I've talked to about 10 people that drive hybrids, and all of them are telling me their cars give them 17 to 20 kilometers per liter. I can get this car to give me 16, 17 kilometers per liter. When I put big tires, let me bring that so that I don't forget. For the guys that are buying cars, the guys that have cars now, when I put bigger tires on my car, the mileage dropped. But I had already bought the car. I had already bought the tires. I could not return them. And when you put bigger tires, your mileage can drop by as much as 4 kilometers per liter. And that's not good. So you keep thinking your car has a problem. Kumbe, you put bigger tires which are heavier, which have a bigger diameter, and that you don't know. You keep fixing your car thinking it has issues. You keep buying plugs, you keep saying over air cleaner and full, you keep doing all those things. So for the guys that are buying cars, especially Mwabagena Bond this week, if your car comes with a size 14, 185, 60, leave that tire on. Of course, most of the tires are expensive because they are stock tires. Importing. What I mean by stock tires, these are tires that come with the stock. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. These are tires that come with the stock. So when they test that car, they test it with those particular tires. The mileage they intended for that car will not work. And for us in Uganda, we find that. But I have a solution for that. Don't use tires to raise your car. Just disturb you. Of course, no crazing with spacers also affects you, but at least spacers don't add weight. So anyway, we are talking how to know what the right car is for you. Now, for starters, this is something that we ignore, especially when we have the money and we have a dream car. Now, buying your dream car is not evil. It's not bad. It's something that we should all aspire to. But your dream car will change every 5 to 10 years. Why will it change? Because every 5 to 10 years, there are newer models, there are better models. Mosare. There are newer models, there are better models of cars. Like, I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, the RAV4, the old model, was a dream car for so many people. Right now, it's like 5 years actually, not even 10. The RAV4 old model was a dream car for most people. I can tell you there is a time I actually wanted the RAV4. Now, I would only drive it if I have no option. You get, and that happens. So every time you think that, oh my God, this, I really love this car, I'm in love with that car, I should buy that car, just know it's simply in the moment. It's in the moment. Once, because every car, once we get it and drive it for a couple of months, it's ordinary, it's normal. And that happens for the people that have been there. So don't make a mistake of buying a car thinking it's your dream car and it's going to be your dream car forever. It can't. It can't. Just imagine the person that bought this Wish at that moment. Wish new model. Look at how it looks now. Ojiraba yonejjudde fiira ekyali kuyubbike naye yonejjudde fiira buuto baba kagitomera emirundi ng'emeka. It looks ugly. Okitegeera. Now it's, of course, ugly is subject to so many things. The color first of all, and then on top of the color, then it has been worked on a lot and badly by Ugandan people. But the Wish would definitely look good in blue when still new. But that one doesn't look good anymore. So forget about love, first of all, when you're going to buy a car. And two, buying a car should not be emotional for you guys. Buying a car should be rational. It should be something you can rationalize. Like, I am buying this car because of this and this and this. It should not be something that say, I felt I should buy this car. Don't feel when you're buying a car. You know how we don't feel when you're buying material for your house? You buy what makes sense. I remember when I was building my first house, double tap the screen, guys, double tap the screen, double tap to give me the likes, double tap. When I was building my first house, the builder I had did not really have a lot of experience, but it was what I could afford. Yazimba bulungi ti yazimba bubi. But then we get to the beam level and I ask him, okay, what does the beam help the house? He could not answer me. Because I built that house in like a week. So when I asked him what benefit the beam was to the house and he could not answer, I told him, Tojiteka, don't put the beam because you cannot tell me what the benefit is. So what's the point of me wasting money in something that even the builder doesn't know the benefit of? And in that area when Narina Zimba, there were so many people that had houses that did not have beams. You get? And for me, I thought to myself, if so many people don't have beams and their houses are standing, okay, I did not put it. And a couple of months down the road, I realized the beam was actually useful. So I find that, like, after that, everything I do has to be logical. And of course, after building my house, engineer, then I also made a logical decision, a rational decision to always have an engineer, an educated engineer. An engineer with a reputation that I can see with buildings they have built. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So the engineer has to come and say to collection, and then I have to pay him to come and look at this work every couple of days. It's expensive, but it's worth it. So buying a car should be something like that. Chino kubera rational. Oyina okubanga osobola okukigatta nti bwengattemu kwemu zibera bbiri. You don't say ate bwengattemu kwemu banjagala 10. That's not how buying a car should work. Because when buying a car works like that, that's why you find people buying big horns for SUVs. Okitegeera. Don't buy a big horn simply because you want an SUV and you cannot afford one. If your money does not buy an SUV, don't push it. Don't over stress. If your money cannot buy an SUV, don't buy an SUV. If your money cannot afford a hybrid, don't buy a hybrid. And this is something we have been having. This is a discussion we have been having since like 2022. If your money cannot buy a car from the bond, tochikaka. There are cars outside the bond that are good enough. And now, cars are even more expensive. You remember the Subaru we bought at 48 last time? It's 55 now. Yes. Actually, we bought that Subaru at 48. Someone bought it on credit at 58. Someone from this community. But again, at 58. Yeyongedemu million 10. Of course, your loan. Kuliko loan. But chitegeze yeyongedemu million nga 5 ku mukaaga. Ziriendala ziza loan. Okitegeera. So you buying a car should not be something that you simply decide out of the blue. Now, there is something that you guys are buying right now. There are cars that we should be buying because it makes sense to buy it. Like you see, every time someone calls me and they have 10 million or below and they want a car, you guys will realize that for the guys that have told me you have 10 million and below, I would tell you to buy a Mark II. I always recommend a Mark II Musota. Now ask me, why do you always recommend the Mark II Musota? Because I've driven that car. Najigure million over zari satu. Najisa swana bidi chitundu, I remember. And when I bought that car, I drove it ngasina chenkanise for a year. And I was driving it every day. Nzinga mvuge moroka. Toina byongamba. Sagula na mipira. Najitunda sikuze na mipira. Nenjivuga nengenda ko nembali. Ninkomawo. Ochitegera. So everyone that has 10 million or below, there are cars that I would also recommend a Primo old model. But if given a chance, and I'm going to give you my reasons, given a chance, I could buy a Mark II Musota and a Primo old model, I would definitely buy Mark II Musota. Ochitegera. Now, how do I rationalize that? One, the Mark II Musota has a bigger engine. Chances of the engine actually dying are very small, slim. Two, the Mark II Musota has a VVTi engine. Chances are high it has not been tampered with. Emorokaza is in a engine of VVTi. Once you tamper with the VVTi engine, it's visible. The Primo old model, chances are high that the engine has been repaired like 5 times. And I'm talking about the Primo old model you're going to buy at 10 million or below. So given a chance, if there is a Primo old model, a RAV4 old model, because you can even get a RAV4 old model 10 million and below, and a Mark II Musota, I would buy a Mark II Musota any day. If there is an Alteza with a Beams 2000 engine and it's manual, I'd buy the Alteza with a Beams 2000 engine. Why? Because the Alteza and manual still, the Alteza, which is automatic, is going to consume your fuel. Paka kuuli na bubi. Like that. And let me try to fix it. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. The Alteza that has an automatic gearbox is 4 gears. Somehow it consumes more fuel than a Mark II Musota. Anyways, banga engine. So I want us to rationalize to find out how rational it should be for us to buy a car. And the Mark II Musota doesn't have a very huge resale value currently, but even the Primo old model doesn't have a huge resale value right now because there are other replacements. So if you're going to buy a car, first of all, rationalize, make the numbers. Yes, but the Mark II Musota is 2 liter and the Primo is going to be 1.8 liter. Majority of you guys buying Primo old models right now are buying 2 liters. I know that majority of you guys buying because you cannot differentiate. Even if you could differentiate, and the 2 liter engine that is EFI will take your money. I'm telling you. So stop buying the cars because you're passionate, and 2, stop buying cars because they are cheap. Yes, stop buying cars because they are cheap. Stop buying cars because you're in love with them. 2, stop buying a car because it's cheap. What am I saying? So many of you guys have been buying Subarus from the bond because they are cheap. Cheaper than Toyota counterparts. If you wanted to buy an SUV right now, a car that is raised off the ground, chances are high you're going to buy a Subaru, right? Because you go look at the Vanguard, look at the, and it's cheap and it has a lot of amenities, but cheap is not cheap. You know that. Cheap is never cheap. So jageno kwesanga nti moroko juguze no saving $1 million nya. Nenga bo saving $1 million nya. Ate ma say monogena mu repairs. I'm telling you this because I know. I talk to you people after we buy these cars, and a Subaru will be cheaper in the bond, but it will be expensive to keep on the road. And you guys that are going Mubiareyo in the villages, buy Toyotas. Mechanics here in Kampala are still struggling to find ways to keep your Subarus on the road. Now imagine what happens when you take that car to the village. But of course now, the advice, it depends on who is advising you. but avoid buying cars because they are cheap. This goes to people that are buying Nissan Terranos, Isuzu big horns, because when you look at SUVs, a RAV4 old model, this which is bad will be 9 million, and then which looks bad, interior and exterior, will be 9 million, no tires, and then you go ahead and find yourself the Isuzu big horn, which looks new on the exterior, looks new on the interior, has new tires, and they're telling you it was 6 million. And then logically, okay, irrationally, emotionally, everyone will want to buy the SUV that looks nice. Ngakucharo bagenda kulaba mugenda okununa chibebi ovuga SUV naye nga agigula million mukaga, live and brag, najiguze mukaga, you get. But in the end, when you start spending money on that car, in the first 2 years, you'll cover the money you would have bought the other car, and even spend half of the money that would have bought the other car on simply repairs. So you should don't buy a car simply because it's cheap. If you can't afford an SUV, don't buy an SUV. Let's stay in the place where we are. I remember when I was looking for land before I bought in Matunga, I wanted Gayaza Road. It's near. I was used to the road. I was living walking distance from the main road, but the plot was too small. The neighborhood was not good. So I wanted a better neighborhood. And I got a plot in Majije. For the guys that know Majije, it was a 50 by 50 plot, and it was in a neighborhood that looked a little bit better than the neighborhood where I was coming from. But then Mama Aban was like, this neighborhood almost looks like the power, like we had a electric pole in the plot itself. There was national water there. Okay, I could not find my way there. Like if I had to go back alone, I could not find my way there. But it was Kabaka land. And because I was coming from Kabaka land, from those small plots, and I remember I had already constructed, and then the guy bought a plot up the upper side of my plot. He bought a 13 feet by 40, and then he came to me and said, mukuru je bareko okusinzira ku ndagaano yange wano wazimba mu plot yange. And I was like, you ban, I've been here for 2 years before you came. How do you tell me to nazimba mu plot yo nga I built 2 years before you even bought? Kitegeeza bakulambuza plot yo nga nazimba dda. Kati ogamba otya? And me, I was tired of those things. Like Mukabaka land ozimba 2025 2027 omuntu bejja ne bamulambuza plot ne bamuguza ne bamugamba nti wazimbe uwe nga gwe tebagambye ne batamuleta na kayana nawe bwajja okuzimba nali okakugamba. I was done with those things. I was done with neighbors that build without house plans, neighbors that I was done. And Mama Ban was totally done. And then we went all the way to Bugema. And then we went all the way to Busika, where most of you guys are building thinking it's near. Busika is farther than Matunga, where I live, and where I live is far. So, and then we went and saw Matunga, of course, titled land, in an organized environment. And then there are places we saw that were nearer the road, but still they were almost the environments that we were coming from. And then we decided we wanted to go to a place that challenged us. So we went far away from the main road. We drove 7 kilometers to get to our house. But we are really happy. The neighborhood is good. We have very good neighbors. They challenge you. They are progressing, and nobody cares about your progress. Nobody, you know, those neighborhoods that we ran away from. And if you're living in such a neighborhood and you're running away, rationalize it. Do the math. Like, and by the way, we left the neighbor. One of our neighbors died later of unclear circumstances. You guys, when I tell you stories of why we moved. And I've told, for the guys that are new, of course, some of the guys that are old have had these stories. But we are rationalizing the same thing with the car. Togura, because like there are people that buy plots simply because they are near. Nagaman, the Siva Mumpere, we. The Siva Mumpere, when I be approaching a car foot kumi, Ninga Gamba, Siva Mumpere, that's the same thing you guys are doing with cars. You're struggling to buy an affordable car. Remember when we bought the Kaunda of 17 with the gentleman that wanted to buy, he was buying a Vanguard of 15. Then we went to buy a Kaunda of 16. And before we went to buy the Kaunda of 16, we saw the Kaunda of 17. At that time, it was 18 before we bargained. And the guy did not want to buy the Kaunda at 17. And I told him, you know what, man? Because you cannot, actually, he watched the broadcast where I talked about him. I said, man, and I told him, but people learn from these stories. So I told him, you guy, Kaunda 17 to Uganda jijangi. That Kaunda we bought, someone said it must have a problem. The Kaunda did not have a problem. it had new tires. The only issue it had was that AC was not working, and the AC can be complicated to repair. But when you're buying a car, don't always look for the cheap option. Like when you're buying land, don't always look for the nearer plot. Look for a plot that makes sense for you and your family. That's what we did when we were buying. That's why we live far away, and we are happy. By the way, we are really happy, and not like we are happy, but we are like no more happy. You know, when they say when you tell people you're really happy, they can come and start sabotaging the happiness. So we are not happy, we are no more happy. So when you're buying a car, always buy a car that makes sense, especially financial sense. Don't buy a car, and when by my financial sense, I don't mean buy a car that is too expensive or a car that seems realistic. Buy a car that makes sense on all fronts. Ngabobara maintenance is not going to eat your money. These cars, they are cars that will eat your money. Ngabano mukujigula la ya raisi. Nenga walimu maintenance ejja kulia send. Someone was talking about the Mazda CX-5 diesel. Don't buy. Guys, even Toyota diesels, avoid them when you can. Only buy a Toyota diesel if you need too much power, like the Hiluxes, like the Land Cruisers. Those guys are buying diesel because they need a lot of power and they go long distances. But you're not going to buy a diesel car when you live in Tinda and work in the Kampala city. You're going to destroy that car. Those cars are meant to work hard. If you buy a Mazda and you live in Karachi and you work in Kampala, buy a diesel, the CX-5, or buy a BMW that is diesel, or a Mercedes-Benz that is a diesel. But if you live near, katinze Athens obravuga diesel. Like kumacha kuno kwa mvuze kilomita ndo za nkaga. Yes. Nkaga. For me, a diesel would make sense. But for you that is going to be driving 14 kilometers, a diesel is going to waste your money. So you need to make those financial calculations and see. It's not just about the buying. It's also about the maintenance. It's also about, does it make sense for me to drive this car for this distance? And like someone was asking, Arthur, when buying a million kuminata, if GFK at 15 million, should buy a car first or land first? And I'm telling him, if you live near your workplace, don't buy a car, because you're going to walk there. All you have to do to avoid death is avoid borders. When you're going to buy stuff for your business or for your home, take an Uber. If you need both, if you live near, then you don't need both. And man, knowing what I know, I bought my first plot at 4 million. And I can tell you, if you have 15 million, get 10 million, buy a plot of land on title land and get your title. Use 1 million to transfer that land to your names before it's too late. And use the 4 million to make a first payment on a car of like 6 to 7 million. That's what, knowing what I know now, that's what I would do. And that would be a Mark II Musota. Definitely, guys, if you don't have money, it's not like I'm pushing demand for Mark II Musotas now, but I'm telling you, if you don't have money, the Mark II Musota, those cars don't die. And if you have 15 million and below, Mark II Grand, they don't die. Even the Alteza is good, but no. Mark II Musota, Mark II Grand, if you can find a Verosa, is a motoka tezigenda kufa. Yes, amafuta si matono nnyo, but it's better than buying a Vitz that's going to die on you. So, how do you know which car is right for you? One, for you guys that are not going to drive a car for business, any car can do for you. We bought a Passo. Passos have power. Passo is if you buy a Passo with an automatic gearbox, not a CVT. Buy a Passo with an automatic. Buy a Passo that has the 1KR engine. Don't buy the one with the 1SZ or a 2SZ. Buy a Passo that has the 1KR. It's the same engine in the Vitz. They have power. Guys, if you're buying your own car, the right car for you is any car that you can afford and that won't give you trouble maintaining it. Stop saying njagala moroka etanywa. Obutanya bugenda kutomeza. Omuntu olina million mukago ogamba njagala moroka etanywa. At 6 million, any car you buy is going to consume. If it's not meant to consume, it will consume because it was consuming before the person sold it to you, because they failed to find out what is making it consume. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It's like you saying, njagala omukazi atagenda kunsumbua. Ne kampase yafumbirwako. Bwaba yafumbirwako n'alemererwa eri. there are chances that yalemererwa because ya ine empisa embi. Ontegera kyenkugamba. Ate ne wabete yalemererwa because empisa mbi. There are chances that si ya ine empisa embi ng'oli omusajja ya ine empisa embi nga she keeps picking the men that have bad manners nga naawe ine empisa embi era nga naawe agenda. When you start assuming things, there are so many possibilities. But the right car for you, if you don't have a family, if it's only you, or it's only you and your girlfriend, only you, or it's only you, your girlfriend, and one child. If it's a family that is not beyond 4 people, any car can do. Stop saying if you cannot afford it, guys. There are certain things we should be talking about, guys. If you have not changed your underwear in the past 1 year, there is you have no business saying in Njagala SUV. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying. You have no business saying in Njagala SUV. Simanya Njagala van. I remember in the past, I saw people buying used boxers. I don't know how you buy used boxer. Maybe because people don't know that you can buy new boxers. But there are things that you should be using as benchmarks. Underwear guno, because now it's a new year. The past like 5 months, if you have not bought new underwear, you have no business saying you want an SUV. Because these are benchmarks. If you find it hard to go to KFC, to go to Cafe Java's, you have no business buying an SUV. Because ompira gokogwa SUV, gugenda kulya, ompira gumugenda kulya emitwalo 3 ana. So why are you buying an SUV? If you cannot afford to buy KFC for your kids, we want KFC. Yeah, you buy KFC on Christmas. So there are certain benchmarks we should be using to see which car is right for us. So if you are renting a house of, like, let's say 250,000, it's giving you trouble. Why are you buying an SUV? Why are you saying I can't drive a Paso? I can't drive a bit? Who are you? There are benchmarks. You get? And I'm not like a financial advisor. I'm not an expert there, but I'm telling you, because these are things that I find that are realistic, that we should be gauging ourselves on. What's the right? Like abana baba goba fees, ngati baba goba fees because oina bobanja banji. Your kids are being chased for school fees simply because they will chase them even next term. They even chased them last term. If you're downgrading the school where you're taking your kids, man, SUV GDK, leave the SUV alone. You're the kind of people that are going to be buying Nissan X-Trail because I want an SUV but I have 13 million. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying. I want an SUV but I have 13. 13 million does not buy a very good SUV. Good SUVs will start at 18. At 18 teba nunji nyo. Eba nkadde. Oshegera. But of course, I'm not an expert in how you should run your life. But I'm just saying that I've seen so many people have trouble simply because they were either not ready to buy a car or they were not ready to buy the car they bought. And that's probably one of the reasons why I've been telling you Mercedes-Benz should be car number 3. Have a Toyota as number 1. If you can afford number 2, buy a Subaru, and then think of buying a German machine. Because before you buy the German machine, the Subaru will teach you a lesson. I don't know if you get that. After German cars, Subarus are expensive to maintain. Of course, Mazdas, our Nissans, these are cars I don't even consider. But after German cars, the Nissans, the Mazdas, Subaru will also teach you a lesson because Subaru is not cheap. Now, don't buy a Subaru. Stick to your Toyotas. The only reason you should buy a Subaru is if you must buy a car, you must buy a car, and you're buying this car until you figure out yourself. Nga Subaru gonna be for a very long time. Because now you're gonna jigula ko wansi. Then you get the money to buy. Then you buy yourself. Then you go buy yourself a Toyota, a good Toyota, because good Toyotas exist. Good morning, Taxi Business Family greets you all. We have this year we have started by upping our game. Just bought the XXL hairs 9L. that carries 18 passengers. Congrats, traveler. Congrats. Nezivugawa. Abantu bali badde bajinza ya muntu wafeeyo. Oba this is tours and travel. Modern Juice Chibuye watambula. My dad drove his Defender until he retired. It's parked in his garage. Edrin, good morning. Majwala, hi. Abdu. Comment is Maze. Arthur, what do you think causes okubagana at the back of the car? In the rear of your car, waliye chitanda. There is a suspension plate behind. And that suspension plate has bushes, heavy-duty bushes. Majority of the time, you'll find that most cars have only 2 big bushes. But if it's a 4-wheel drive, or if it's a rear-wheel drive vehicle like a Mark X, it has multiple. So you buy no kuja chitanda icho bachisuli that dala. When they drop it down, then they take it and put bushes. That might be your issue. If it's not that, then check the shock absorbers. If it's not that, then check the boot. Those are the only possibilities. Peter Chamba de Hawaii. Arthur, talk about sport car, 2-seaters, driver seat, and 1 for passengers. It's affordable for you. It should, but if it's a sports car, then sports cars are not meant to give you fuel efficiency. Sports cars are meant to give you performance. You get, a sports car is meant to give you performance. If you're going to be buying any sports car, don't expect efficiency. It's meant to perform. Museven always challenged but never equaled. I'm here learning. I'm in a Dennis. Even houses, you should not involve a lot of emotion. Yes, Promac. Nemo nyumba take your emotion. Of course, a house is something you're going to live with, but mix emotion, but mostly do rationalization. Need a car that can give me about 17 to 22 kilometers per liter. You should try a hybrid. Lubega, if you want a car that can give you up to 22 kilometers per liter, you should try a hybrid. All these other cars will not be able to give you that. Ku highway, you might be able to get it, but if you're not on a highway, you might not be able to get it. Triple M. Peter Chamba Dabagambi atuna mark 2 grand. Yeah. Zimbagambi. Peter, you have exploited my moment. Pereza said Zakalango. Sebugwa Medi Chivumbi Alex. After someone looking for a car to be used on a farm, which car can he buy? Not a pickup because it might be expensive. If it's just going to work on a farm, then you're looking for a car that is cheap and reliable. Genda mu Ipsam. Milioni nga musanvu. Ujiteke kufamu we yagari. Nga pade iwa agenda okola. Pada agenda gula Ipsam. Oba RAV4, old model, the long one. Ezo mokazo inza gula no mu cheap nga naye kufamu tebeta tebajja nga zijja kuba zi performing. If you want a 4-wheel drive, then stick to a RAV4. Which other car? I think that's it. Bobo so rofuna yoka karibu nga ka 4-wheel. Jitu waringi bazisera. I'm thinking you guys, Bidikron why I don't agree with the Pro Box. I'm thinking someone wa farm tano nyate muruka ejagambe gaswa anonye muruka ina ne headroom wano ntaso teka mu bisagazinga bingi na abikakati kam. By the way, Chivumbi, even the L200 is cheap. You can get an L200 at like 13, 14. I don't know where they are, guys. Sometimes you guys inbox me and they say atanjagale ne moroka tugende tujigule bajigulawa simanje ziri. I don't know where they are. Na yenga, I know that at that price you can get bali banguza ko ano L200 million munana. I don't know why I didn't buy that car. Nalingi so already kula million 5. But the L200 would be one of the affordable pickup trucks, yeah. Arthur, is Pro Box Succeed good for farm works? I don't think it's good. Why? Because it's expensive. You don't want to buy an expensive car only to put bisagazi in there. You want to buy a cheap car for the farm. Checheba government, when you're buying a car, don't just have emotion of Pro Box. Magabi Pro Box. You know, there is a way the media and what people say can trickle your emotions. Not until it's the right car. But if you're going to buy a car, you take a farm and make kuruma, it needs to be a cheap car. And if it needs to be a cheap car, which it needs to be cheap. Chitavuja, you told us to remind you about tires. I actually talked about tires. Guys, double tap the screen to give us likes. I have 30 million Arthur. I need a Japan used that won't consume too much, but also looks good. SUVs are in the first priority. 30 million, you don't want a common one, I presume. 30 million, ogenda gula Auris. Simanyo ba 30 million Auris bajikuwa. But 30 million, you're looking at the Auris. You're looking at the Paso Sete. 30 million. You're looking at such small cars, Vitz. I know you're going to send no to a Vitz, Paso. But those are the cars you're looking at if you want a car that doesn't consume. Because at 30 million, there is no hybrid you're going to buy. Like there's a Hauris hybrid, there's the Aqua. The Aqua is about 35, 36 there. Right? So like there is no hybrid you're going to buy at that amount. But you can buy the counterparts that don't hybrid at that price. Nubuat Cassidy David. My mobile number is in the description. Arthur, did you say changing underwear guy? Tell them. But Godwin, this is true. If you also still go to a restaurant, the toothpick is on the table without a cover this year, leave the car alone. If you still have a blanket, if people, if your blanket had to be ingrid demua, the underwear because underwears are the cheapest to change, and we find people are buying underwear as maybe truly. Wisdom to operate within your financial boundaries in case your faith in God has loopholes. There is no faith in God having loopholes. Mother guy, there are things God will just not make. God gave you brains and hands. Kim Job, Chechiriyo, Kaiwa. Arthur, Martha Gambi, Martha Academy will start on 3rd February. Oh, congrats, Martha! Martha Bagambi somera ligula oli mukono enama, mwa abana abali mukono. Ogenda bane school van eno na abana Martha. Arthur, advise me on which car to purchase. Uber 16.5. Let me talk about that probably tomorrow. I have to think. Arthur, what is this first generation Mark X a good car? Yes, Mark X's are good, all of them. Arthur, good morning. Which Toyota car that is fairly high raised as a Harrier do you recommend at a budget of 50? Of course, Harrier tell him, but I'm thinking you can get a Vanguard. Try to you for 52 million. I'm thinking you can get it. Vanguard, RAV4, zezo mpozi ngogambye rush nezezo eziri mu million 5 endala zisukamu. Yeah, good morning Kevin. To smaller extent I blame the government for levying high taxes on basic needs like cars, fuel, as well maintaining bad roads which spoil our cars. Godwin, the government is to blame for a lot of things that are happening, but of course the people that support the government will not allow us blame the government. Just the way that when someone loves their parents, they will not allow people to blame their parents for the mishaps that are happening. Like majority of the bad things that are happening to us are because our parents made the wrong choices. But of course, we have been trained, let go, don't blame other people. Once you're 20, you don't blame. We can't blame them now. Now me, I'm grown. I can't blame them. But I know that part of the things that happened to me were because of my parents. So the government is to blame for 90% of the problems in this country. Yes. A car with a repaired cylinder head, not over, okay, at 12.5, and another car at 16.5, both used. Which do you recommend? Now, Job, I think it depends what car. Diesel, that's totally normal. It's okay. EFI, that's totally normal. VVTI, that sometimes has an impact on the car if it's VVTI. But I would need to look at the car and assess and then advise accordingly. Sometimes the 4.5 million might be worth it. Why? Because the engine, the reason why this person put a cylinder head, like refaced the cylinder head, might actually have to do with the fact that they couldn't afford to buy a new engine. So they are selling the car off because they know it will bring trouble later. And then this other one has an engine that is actually intact. So you'd buy this one at 12.5 and in the end also spend like 3.5 to 4 million to replace the engine. So at our math, as I talk about the Toyota Starlet, if it's old, I would not advise you buy. If it's the new one at 0 mileage, buy. Arthur, for YouTube, double tapping can't work. You have to like the live. I've seen it work. People have been double tapping and it works like that. Mark, you're over skipping me. Want to buy a Starlet? Which Starlet do you want to buy? What about Alteza consumes fuel, but you can buy if you have no option. If it's the option that is there, buy. Starlet in Kadejireke venture. After talk about the washing bay guys that steal fuel from the cars. I last paid for washing bay in June 2020. Yeah, June 2021. I think it was even June over 21st. But it's in June 2021. That's the last time I paid for a washing bay. Since then, I wash my car myself. And I've not been in an experience where fuel was stolen from my car, because every time I go to a washing bay, if there is something that can be stolen, I sit there and they wash the car when I'm there. And I would advise that you do the same yourself, because we don't care about washing bay more ideas. Arthur, how much can a medium car tracker cost me? Between 350 to 450, depending on where you buy. But most people are selling them 450. But I've had people buy them cheaper. I would definitely not recommend you buying a cheap thing. This is your car. There's a reason why that one is cheap and everyone in the market is selling the same price. Osege, that's something that people ignore. So let's go back to the cars as I say bye-bye. So don't buy a car simply because you're in love with it. Don't buy a car simply because it's cheap. Do the math of how you're going to use the car, for what you're going to use the car, but also do the math of how much you're buying the car, and also do the math of how much you're going to use to maintain the car. But then in the end, also do the math of how much you earn periodically, and make sure you will not want to sell that car at one time soon. If you're the kind of person like Arthur Ngochimanyiti, anytime from now, nyizo fune ichigwao, nanjagalo tunde moroka, buy a car that people want to buy. And this is majority of people. Most of you people need to buy a car that you can sell quickly. In Uganda especially. Waba webigwa, ngo ine million chenanga wetaga 10 ngo nonya ojje 10 toziraba, because buli muntu alowooza olina. Kati ngo ine tunde moroko kwateke 10 ozigatte wali. But if you buy a car that doesn't have feet, etaina bigere, chigenda kumenya. Ochisegeera. JFK Atagamba, I move often and I don't feel safe on a border. If you live near your workplace and you move often, is there a way you can use another person's car or use Uber without spending a lot of money? JFK Arts, that's something for you to consider. Osobola kufuna mwana wa Uber nga ali ku speed dial nga womukubira jabuzi nakunona nakutwala. They are there. Ngomwayo ogumwe ekitundu nakutwala mu town omwe ekitundu ogumwe ekitundu nakuzza. In the short term, since you have small money, in the short term, it might actually be a very good thing for you. Okitegeera. Kamuka magenze gulanda we yampya. Edgar Rodriguez, we are speaking English. Derek, wash your car or get someone at home to wash it for you. So anyway, guys, Godwin, the comment ojijo name adema zojisomera abantu nze nkolera abantu. Baba deba jitegedde ntira Godwin ya jogedde. Era gizeewo obutale kirabika bubi nnyo. Ondabisa bubi. Alteza is not bad, but it's okay. So anyway, when you're buying a car, the other kind of math you need to put in, this is something that people totally ignore. Look at your line of work. Is there a possibility that you might want to change your car because of your work? There are people that get transfers. It's something that I saw one of you guys here went through. Yali akagule motoka ye agitaddemu sente nyingi ne bamuwa transfer. Mukumuwa transfer nga the car they bought, and it was expensive. Nga the car they bought tesobola yo nitandise n'okwononeka. So this person had to sell the car, and he lost 14 million shillings in the space of like 5 months. Emoroka nagibuze yadde emyezi 5 n'afiirwa million 10 na mmeka kweyo gye yatunze. Kati bw'amala ofiirwa ezo million 14 ate ezo 14 zifa ku buying price gye yagula emoroka. Remember, he put extras, seat covers, radio, this person lost about 16 million shillings. Then he's also losing money in buying another car. Nemu kugule moroke endala. Agenda kufiirwa because the moroke endala naye agigula actually more expensive than the other one. So kuzino sente zaataddeyo. I know kuongerako about 29 million shillings. Yeah? 29 million shillings to buy the car that they need to do their work. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So this person Arthur, I see you me, I don't put seat covers. I don't need them. Like, I just keep my car clean. So he has lost 16 here. He's adding a 28 there. So in total, this person is losing 6, 10, 38 plus the 6. This person is losing about 40 something million shillings because we did not see ahead. So that's why buying a car should be an individual decision. You need to think hard about yourself alone as you buy the car. Consider David, kebera mu about section ya channel. My number is there. Can I drive a, no, you cannot drive a car without a license. I can get, of course, now I see your NRM. NRM baso chikola. You know, there is a mechanic I normally work with. But atula mmoka mgambo NRM tuvuge wanuwe. NRM tukube chitara. NRM boba sobola. I can get a Mark II Grand, but on the same price, I can get a new field from the bond and pay balance in 1 year. What would you do? You can get a Mark II Grand with the money you have. But at the same price, you can get a car from the bond and pay the balance. Buchechi Kolida says, the money you're going to pay per month, and do you make it? Are you in any way going to get to a point and feel kumenya? Me, I've gotten people that offered me money mumoroka yange nenzigana nganche gatta. Manyokwe oyinokwe gatta notatomera kubosobola okutomera. By the way, after this year, you must eat my money. I have learned a lot. Ira centenary zidideko bannange. Abudu Alteza is a good car buy. Kale guys, sawa ya kubasibula. Mwebale kuberako ku channel. Echemipira, guys, if you buy a car, like for me, my car wano inakugenda ko 175/60 R16. I changed it to 205/60 R16. Now that's a very huge jump. What that will do to your car, and this is from experience, it will, first of all, it will harm the consumption of your car. Up to 4 kilometers again as zisala. It's something I've observed, and then when mala okuzisala, the engine will work a little bit harder. That's a engine okole nyo techina nyo buzibu, but of course when the engine works harder, that's when the fuel comes into play. And then of course sometimes, especially when you're cornering, ujaji ulidangi wana muko because enjola zino nene from what it was planned for. So if you buy your car, I know most of the cars that come from the bond have stock tires, and stock tires are really expensive. Like one of the reasons why I bought bigger tires was because the tires that came with this car, za mitwala satu mwetano buli gumuchoka bupira butono buti. Nenga ate jino najigula bili mwe satu. So if I have to switch tires now, I'll have to go back to the original tire size. It will be smaller, the car will be lower, but it will give me the fuel efficiency I need. And of course, I know it will be stable. So for you guys that are going to raise your cars, as you're raising your car, because spacers and springs or shock absorbers. I don't know if I make sense, guys. Kamba Sibuli, Jones Info Muyombia, Mark Bridget, Kakai VIP, JFK Arts, George Senkubuge, Dr. W. Joshua, Tumuhimbisa Ivan, Chisembo Jose, George Bob, Basic Chris, Gilbert Amanya, Stephen Omuria, Otiang Rajab, Travel Live Vlog, Mgalasi Joshua Mix Farm, Chambade Hannington, Martha Academy, Namamo Kono, George Senkubuge, Kamokama Godwin, Gilbert Amanya. Arthur, how come you never eventually uploaded? Okay. Billy Crown, Max Suna, Paul Sema VIP, Isaac Maringa, Seriko Starch, Martha Academy, Nakumaze Ben, Kako Henry Modern Juice, Saith Kagawa, SPK Driving School Kanyanya, VIP, or SPK Kanyanya Kugaza, Kazimba Kali Kugazi, SPK Umzanga, Semata Abdu, Oyosimu Manyi, Muksa Emma Kafero, Kumakech Caesar, Chairman Zach, Matovi Idris, the one and only Nicole, Job Ogwaichu, Nakate Christine, JC Semogerere, JFK Arts, Henry Modern Juice Nkumaze, Asiku Keith, Edwin Mugerwa, Majwala Julius, Mikel UG, Semanda Raymond, Stephen Omuria, Tumbu Habiri, Lubega Mark, Geoffrey Ntambala, Godfrey Ntambala, Mikel UG, Peter Chamba, Decorate Nachintu, Proma Creations, Basali Waderis, Triple M, Peter Chamba, De Chivumbi Alex, Chitavuja Moses, Asiku Keith Nkumaze, Billy Crown Nkumaze, Hussein Nubuwat, Kasiria David, Derek Venture, Kaiwa Benjamin, Mosime Kim Job, Alexis Vlogs, Chuck Robert, Arinaito Kevin, Orach Godwin, Kamukama Godwin nakumaze. Sayed Chivumbi, Alex, munoza sibamaze bantu bang Edgar Dalito Rodriguez, Sayed Blaum, mbamazeyo. John Bull waswa namwe abali mukamoli. I don't take you for granted. Even the guys that are watching this video later on in the day, later on in the week, or later on in the month, later on in the month or in the year. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for telling people about this channel. And for the guys that recommend me for business, for pre-purchase inspection, thank you very much for always recommending me. I don't take it for granted. After that, who wants to buy a grand, tell him there is one on market. Yes, banange kyambadde agula maka 2 grand. I'm sorry. Kyambadde atunda maka 2 grand ye. Mujje mugule moroka eno. Official. Abali mukamoli, thank you very much, guys. I'll see you tomorrow, Market Tuesday. May the good Lord bless you. Ciao.